What's it been like for you? Your hair looks lovely, by the way. Of course it would do. I have a bit of hair envy. But obviously the furlough scheme has been fantastic, and now hairdressers are opening. But just tell us how difficult it's been, and are you out of the woods yet as an industry, do you think?
Absolutely not. I mean, we are running at probably 30% less because, of course, we can't bring all our staff back to work. We got the news last night we can bring spa back on Monday, but that doesn't really give us a lot of time, you know, to get clients booked in. It's been really, really tough. We've been in business 28 years. We've never had any debt. We've never had any bank loans. And the thought that we might have had to lay off some of our team was just soul destroying. The fact that the job retention scheme came in so quickly, I think, was fantastic. And I was so sceptical. I thought it would take ages to get the funds. We got the funds within 3 days. You know, that has really helped us plan, forecast, decide which of the team we're going to bring back in, who we're going to leave off for now, until we can get back up to full speed.
And the £1,000 bonus as well that was announced yesterday in terms of keeping those members of staff on, is that something that you think is going to make sure that you are able to do that for the staff members that, as you say, you haven't been able to bring back yet?
Not really. I don't think that particularly works, because the thing is, you know, you have to wait a long time. You have to pay your staff for a long time to get to, I think it's January that you can get that cash sum. So that's not really going to help. I mean, I think what we need to do is protect our high streets. We need to make sure there's a VAT rate for those that are selling online, stays the same, but the high streets are key. We bring footfall in. You know, we need our high streets to work. And if you can sell online and you haven't got any of the rents and any of the rates, why would you keep your shop?
Yeah.
He has announced that cut, hasn't he, down to 5% for the hospitality industry and VAT.
Yes, but if you've got a shop, then why should you pay the same as someone that sells online? You know, every day I walk down the King's Road and it's heartbreaking to walk to work and see yet one more shop close. So we need to exempt or have some tax breaks that will help us pay our rent. We still had to pay our rent, even though we've been closed.
We need to find those incentives to get people onto the high street. Let's speak to Gemma. Gemma, we had you on yesterday when we initially ran through these ideas from Rishi Sunak. You gave him 10 out of 10 for creativity and innovation, maybe 3 out of 10 for the potential of actually implementing these and then being so targeted. And clearly, there has been some real bonuses. The furlough scheme, as Helen was saying, has been an absolute lifesaver. But these newer innovations that came around yesterday, they seem to be unravelling a bit.
Well, they do. It's basically a tale of two cities. So what we're having is different sectors are faring differently, different companies within that, and even colleagues depending on their employment terms. So you've got hospitality, and it's great they're paying less tax on each transaction they make. But because of social distancing, they have to have the same space, they have to pay for the same amount of space, and yet they're getting fewer customers in, so fewer transactions to benefit from that tax from. Retail, exactly as Helen was saying, it depends on how much these companies can do online. And arguably, for companies that are doing everything online, they don't need as much support as those that are struggling because they need to have a shop floor. Same thing with tech-savvy firms. You know, the more they can work remotely, the more they're protected. And then banks were encouraged to, you know, lend to people and to companies, and they're going to see more bad debt. So, and when we're talking about real people, so people that are watching, it's great if the majority of your salary has been covered by being furloughed, but people that are recently self-employed, your viewers that are self-employed, you know, have been missing out. And again, you've got this job retention bonus, which is great for those that an employer already wanted to bring back, but it's not going to be enough to encourage protecting the jobs that are most at risk.
And Francis O'Grady from the TUC, I know at the beginning of the lockdown, just before it, you were actually very complimentary, weren't you, about credit where credit's due. I think you were saying, you know, you said that Rishi Sunak was showing great leadership, that I think he said he had emotional intelligence in those conversations that you had had with him. Francis O'Grady, how do you feel about what is happening now? And is there a lack of focus in where his ideas are going? Should they be more focused on the aviation industry, on those industries that are being hit more disproportionately than others?
So it was the TUC and unions who pressed the Chancellor to introduce that furlough scheme. And I do think he deserves credit for listening. And likewise, in terms of the Kickstart scheme, we've been arguing that we needed to do something special to tackle youth.
16 to 24-year-olds, just to make it clear, in case people don't know that term yet. Yeah.
Got to make sure it's a top quality scheme and it is a bridge to steady employment for young people. But again, credit where credit's due. I think the real risk here is that we're facing this rising tide of redundancies. We've got to work our way through this crisis. That's the only way we're going to get out of it, is through growth. That's the way to pay down the deficit. Yeah. But what I'm worried about is that we haven't got enough targeted support for the industries in trouble now. We can't just turn off the tap on furlough in October and tell people you're on your own. We know
but continuing furlough also isn't the answer, surely, is it?
No, we need targeted support. So there are great industries, great companies and great jobs that we've got to protect and get through this crisis. It wasn't any fault of these companies that they're in trouble. This was in many cases because they were ordered by law to shut down because of the pandemic. And ultimately, unless we get that test and trace system up and running, unless we get the vaccine, we're going to be facing difficult times for a long time ahead. But, you know, industries like manufacturing, incredible companies like Jaguar Land Rover, Airbus, these are really good jobs and we've got to protect them. So I want to see the Chancellor pull government, unions and business around the table to work out a plan to get us through this next phase.
I think, Gemma, it's interesting. Helen's ideas about offering incentive to people to go to the high street, for people to open shops, to get more footfall, because of course how can they compete with an online service that has exactly the same products but doesn't have any of the overheads? And of course we're watching the high street die, as Ranveer says. It's been going on for over a decade now, those conversations. They seem like pretty sensible, straightforward, clear thinking ideas. Is that something that you can see the Chancellor looking at? And of the businesses that are struggling at the moment, which are the ones that are going to be able to bounce back quickest, do you think?
I mean, I think it's a really great idea to be able to support the companies that need it most. I think obviously the challenge with all of this is the fact that this is another £30 billion of support that's being provided. And the question is, how's it going to be funded? So we're already borrowing more money than we make. And so obviously that's and also we saw that, you know, over the last 2 months, our economy shrank by a quarter, which is the same amount it grew over 18 years.
Borrowing is very cheap at the moment, though, isn't it? I mean, this is what we keep being told, that actually we're OK to do this because the cost of that borrowing isn't expensive right now.
Yeah, OK, but let's liken it to this, OK? Imagine that the UK is a person and it's us, and we're walking into a bank and we're saying, hi, please, can we borrow some money? But, you know, we're actually not certain how we're going to be able to repay it. So, yes, it's easier for us to borrow because interest rates are low, but there are only a fixed amount of other countries that are going to be willing to support us and be able to buy our debt likewise. So, you know, there's a double-edged sword. I think there's a limited amount that we can continue to do this for before we start to see then tax rises, which isn't going to help anybody. And then your second question about how the companies that are better to bounce back. It is companies that are more protected. So the ones that are doing more things online, that are much more tech savvy, that don't have to have as many people working, but can work remotely instead and have been able to be flexible. But unfortunately, as we said, our high street isn't among them. And we do need to protect them. We need to protect jobs. And also in any service industry, including our healthcare service, they're going to continue to be very overstretched.
I mean, there are industries, of course, and Helen's, yours is one of them, that you can't, I'm not sure how many beauty treatments you can offer online. You still need your clients to come into the salon. You still want to be here. And your clients are keen to come in and see you as well. That's an important part of the whole experience.
It is. I mean, we had 3,700 customers on a waiting list. You know, and they're not just coming because they can't get their hair cut online. They come for everything, to see our team, for the experience, to relax. You know, we need to save these jobs. We need to make sure we don't have just a sort of network of ghost towns. We've seen what's gone on in the States, where we've got all these malls that are empty. We've had whole towns go just bleak. You know, we have to protect against that.